What's up, everyone? My name's JD, and today I am going to show you some tips and tricks on getting Caverns Agent 100. And if you're familiar with 101, it's the longest standing world record in the game as of making this video. So it's got a lot of prestige on it at the moment, and 100 is definitely an overdue untied. I've gone for it for 200 hours and gotten nothing, so I'm going to pass on my knowledge to all of you and see if someone else is lucky enough to get the ever so elusive 100. So, um, I'm going to assume you have basic knowledge of the level. I'm going to assume you have 101. And uh, so a few of the basics are, 2.2 control style. That's the control style you want to use. Obviously, you want to CC into right strafe. And if you don't know what any of that means, then you should not be taking advice from this video. Um, Second thing I want to talk about was this drone. Now, this drone was a mystery for a long time. People assumed it to be random, but it's actually not random at all. As you can see, it's kind of on a 2 second pulse. It's going back and forth, one, two, one, two. It's on a 2 second pulse, so it's actually not random at all, which means it can be influenced by cinema timing, by watching more of the opening cinema or less of the opening cinema, for that matter. And so that's why for if you're going for 101, you cut the first cinema and watch the second. That's perfect timing to not get a back boost when you're going through this drone hall. But you should know that already. Like I said, if you have 101, you should already know that. But that means we're going to want to actually either watch 1 second more of the opening cutscene or cut a second less, and I'll show you what's better here. So I'm actually on a practice ROM here, which will show me how much time, how many frames have passed since the opening, since the first cutscene loads in. So I'm going to do a 101 cinema timing here, which is cut the first, watch the second. And if we switch to mines here, it shows us that 346 frames have passed since the first cutscene loaded in. And that's for 101 pace. So, if we're on NTSC, it runs at 60 frames per second, we're going to want to cut 60 frames earlier than that. So we want it about in the mid 280s range. It doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. Even this 346, it could be like 344 or 345, whatever. It's not the same every time. Not the exact same. So, I'm going to show you why cutting the first cinema and cutting a second earlier in the second cutscene is better. So I'm going to cut right here, which is about the time you should cut. There, exactly. That was perfect. So you want 284, somewhere in that mid 280s range. And why, I'll show it again, but why is this better than watching a second of the first cutscene? Well, that is because there is a guard at the top of the spiral. And once we get to him, I'll show you why it's bad. So here, right as Bond is pulling his gut out, is my visual cue to cut. There, another 284, another perfect cinema cut for a 100 pace. I'll do it one more time. So I cut the first, and then right as Bond pulls his gun out, right there is when I cut. So that was a little early, but it still should be fine, right in that 280s range. So, please cut a second earlier in that second cutscene. Do not watch any more cutscene. And I'll show you why. It has to do with the guard at the top of the spiral, the patrolling guard. So anyway, we're gonna switch scenes here. We're gonna go to this run, which is the fastest run I ever got, and probably the fastest run anyone's ever got, for that matter. This is my 46th dupe of 101. And I'm going to use it to demonstrate some of my knowledge here. So, you see here at the start, I do the 100 cinema timing. It can be hard to get used to opening the door and getting out since you have no visual reference at the start here, but it only takes like about half an hour to an hour to get fully used to it, so no big deal there. You want to be in, like, halfway look down at the start here as you go around these guards. You want to open the door behind Trev so that he doesn't block you, and then shoot 5 to 7 bullets. This is all standard stuff you should know. And then shoot 5 to 7 more bullets as you pass this AR guard to the left here. You also want to hang to the left. I'm going to correct myself here. You saw me correct my line. You want to hang to the left so that the guard isn't shooting at the wall on your right and instead shoots you. But you see I'm also shooting 5 to 7 more bullets for the second lure, standard stuff. Now here you want to start looking neutral. And I found that in the A area, looking neutral is better because, there's a lot of stuff that gets rendered if you look down into the A area with all the scientists, all the consoles, if there's a few guards down there too. And on the on that catwalk, there's only 2 guards you have to load if you look neutral. So it's lag-wise, it's better. If you're not used to that, I suggest getting used to looking neutral in this area for 100 paces. And then you want to cut to the right of this guard, obviously. And then hang left so that you can catch the boost. You see, I want to be going more to the right here for the optimal line. But I'm hanging to the left at first so I can catch the boost. Obviously, you don't want to get caught on this railing, but I kind of like cut it pretty tight there. Now, I don't do it in this run because I kind of discovered this later on. Actually, I didn't discover it at all. It was Para that showed it to me. But I actually take out a mine and throw a mine on this wall right here. And that's going to kill a few guards that run for me, like 2 or 3 guards. And, we already do the mine on the spiral, which I'll show you here in a sec. But this mine on here is very consistent in that it kills 2 or 3 more guards and makes the lag a lot lower on the spiral more consistently, that is. I've gotten runs doing just the spiral mine where the lag is like super low, but not every time. But if I throw a mine here, the lag is consistent pretty much every time, I've found. So this is definitely an OP strat, throwing the mine here. And it can be a little annoying, you don't have a gun out if this guard runs in your way, but it's something you have to get used to. Okay, the hairpin. The hairpin turn, the U-turn, whatever you want to call this. This is definitely the most important part of the start to master in your movement. And you definitely want a good stick for this. I don't really have any other tips for this other than you just want to practice this particular section a lot. Because it's definitely the hardest part to get down. You can afford a bad hairpin turn with if you're going for 101. You cannot afford a bad hairpin turn if you're going for 100. So that is something you want to practice. I'll play it again here in slow motion. You can see I catch the boost. Look at those perfect corners. Not to jerk myself off or anything, but And then there's you can easily get caught on these railing on the left, obviously. So just hang a little to the right so that you don't accidentally go down the stairs. Just standard stuff. Okay? Once you enter this spiral, you want to start looking down. You don't want to load the top part of the spiral just yet. And you also want to look down because you're going to do this mine throw in here. So you can see like the corners cut after these turns. After 3 turns, you want to throw the mine down. 1, 2, 3, and I throw the mine in this general area. If it skips, that's fine. It should still kill the 2 guards that run up at you. And then gradually look up. And you want to I slap the guard, but you don't have to slap him. You can just kill him with the AR. I just slap him because it looks kind of cool. And people have asked me if tight turns are better here or if like smooth turns are better. So you can see here, I'm actually doing like tight turns, but smooth tight turns. And that's because if I had to just do like really jagged tight turns with my 10 out of 10 stick, that's probably most optimal, but it's also very easy to get caught and get stuck on some of these corners. So I do like a little compromise. I do tight turns, but very smoothly. And it barely loses any time at all doing it that way, if like any. So I feel like that's just better. It's more consistent for sure. Anyway, you can see here I'm going up the spiral, and at some point I start to look down. Now, how do I know when to look down? Well, on the right wall here, you can see these white splotches occasionally. And you're going up, there's a lot of white splotches together. But at some point, you can see two white splotches that are very close to each other for some reason. Right here and right here. These are the two white splotches. Now, this is where you want to start looking down. And why do you want to look down? Well, because you're approaching the box boost room. And that is a very, if you're looking neutral, that is a very laggy area to be loaded. And you don't want that, so you want to start looking down here. In which I start doing right here. And I actually suggest even looking down more than this. For the full effect, I think. So I approach this box boost room, and here's the patrolling guard I was talking about for the cinema timing. Now, if you watched 1 second more of the first cinema, this guard would be like right here. You see the problem? If you can't see the problem, he is gonna block you on your optimal line. You're gonna have to go around him, which is obviously not good. And most of the time, you would just like crouch, and I'd get stuck. So that's not good. So that is why you want to cut the second cutscene instead of watching more of the first. But anyway, hopefully this guard will give you good animation into here. Even if he does a good animation, it's kind of random if he'll actually boost you. I've tried like different methods of like wiggling through or the door in like different types of ways so that I can catch a boost, but I don't know. I just haven't found a consistent method to catch this guard's boost when he does a good animation. But here he doesn't do a good animation, so it doesn't matter. I just take the optimal line into the box boost room. And I would suggest that you practice the box boost with the ZMG. The AR is a very laggy weapon. It can go through, the bullets can go through the box and hit the wall and cause even more unnecessary smoke. So the ZMG is definitely the way to go here. It might be a little hard to get used to because you need 5 bullets instead of the AR's 3 bullets. But it's definitely worth it in the end to go with the ZMG. You can see it here. I start shooting right as I'm about to turn into the box. And you can see my last bullet, if we back up a few frames here, hits the center. Ideally, you'd want to be already past the box a little. You'd want to be like over here as you hit the bullet on this corner right here. That would be the most optimal, but and then you just get like an insanely direct boost. But still, that is completely fine. That box boost. Now this turn here, after the box boost, is very tricky. You can see, okay, let's just back up a few frames. You can see here, there's a bit of a wall sticking out. Now this, in my opinion, is the hardest blind turn in this level. And I even still struggled with it. You know, getting past the box boost sometimes the boost would boost you just straight into that wall over here. So I want to run right past this guard. Want to cut this guard very tight. And you can see here I'm very close to this wall here. And this is like pretty much perfect. I think I grind it a little bit, so I'm still not quite far right enough. And then knowing where that wall is and turning, like I said, is the hardest blind term in the game. And getting to this door optimally. So, you can see I turn a little too far, a tiny too far bit right here. But it's no big deal. It's pretty much good. So, right here, you do want to kill this guard, but you do want to kind of shoot him early because you're at a specific noise level where you're about to lure this AR guard here, and that's another potential boost you could get. And again, this is a very tricky boost, and it rarely works. But it is possible. You can see I shoot him, and then he starts running to come out to boost me. And he does the good animation. So when you get this good animation, you kind of don't want to cut this, if we go back here, you don't want to cut this corner that tight, actually. You want to, you can't really see it, you know, there's like the stairs here, and then there's the railing. Here you can barely see it. But you don't want to cut it very tight. You can see here, I do a very smooth turn to pick up that boost. It's so hard to catch this boost because he's at a very weird angle. But I do catch it. My advice to catch it again is just to do a smoother turn here as opposed to two tight turns. Now, obviously, if you don't get a good animation here, you want to do the two tight turns for the optimal line. But here I want to catch this boost, so I do the smooth turn. You know, grind this railing. And in this section, I've experimented both with looking down and looking neutral, like I'm doing here. And I really don't know what's better here, because there's about like an equal amount of guards on this downstairs portion as there are on this upstairs portion. So I don't know. I would say just whatever you're comfortable with here. If someone can find like one way is better over than the other, then obviously do that way. But for here, I was more comfortable with just looking neutral. Want to kill this guard. That's a free kill right there. And then these are more blind turns. Again, you just want to get used to these blind turns, you know, cut these turns perfectly. And now as you enter this B area, you do want to look down, because there's a lot of guards in this B area. You want to shoot and try to kill this guard. He's kind of in your way, kind of in your line. Sometimes he'll run out and troll you. But then that just means you have a better line. So try to kill him at least. Cut these lines tight. And now this is a turn I see a lot of players fuck up for some reason. A lot of players like to go way to the left here. And I don't know why. For some reason, in almost every 100 or every 101, all the players go really wide right here. So my advice here is to not quite cut this corner. That's too far left, but be a lot closer to this corner here than you think you should be, because it's actually just a better line. And then you also want to hope to get boosted by this guard, which I think he does here in this run. So you can see here, I'm actually, even me, I'm even slightly a little more to the right than I should be. I should be a little more to this, like, cutting this corner. I'm like on the way to here, so it's not bad. But anyway, I do get the boost here. Like, hopefully you should. And then getting boosted by this guard and his friend on the right here is pretty rare. You want to hope they do a charging animation, a quick charging animation towards you. And then you want to hope they turn around and immediately start shooting at you again. That's your best bet for a boost here. And you don't want to rely on that. But I do get it in this run, which is funny. Anyway. You want to come in here, start to look neutral. If you look down too much, the drone shoots a little faster and can hit you. Even if you're on a good cycle, it could still hit you if you're looking down. So you do want to look neutral so that the drone doesn't shoot its full capacity. And I'm actually a little slow here. The more you play this level, you can begin to tell just by walking into the drone hall if you're going to get back boosted or not. And I can tell that I'm going to get back boosted by this drone here. Unless I get a boost. So you can kind of see here, if I'm not past like this like little divot here in the wall, and if I'm not past here and I haven't gotten back boosted, I know I'm gonna get back boosted unless I get a perfect boost. And I get a perfect boost. So that was very lucky. But again, that boost is very rare. You don't want to rely on it, which is why the cinema timing is so important for 100. You do not want to rely on something this inconsistent. You want to rely on consistent strategies if you're going for an untied that can hopefully get you the untied faster. But I get this boosted anyway through the drone back boost. And I'm hanging to the left of this wall here. Again, this is knowledge you should know already if you have 101. But hang to the left of this wall here, which will allow the drone to not back boost you. And then you want to come through, take your lines tight. A before B warp, which is pressing A before you press B on the elevator, on the lift. And I get it there. Very nice warp. That's a perfect warp. That's what it should look like. You can get some crazy warps where you get like boosted in and you just like, it looks like a depot warp, kind of. But that's pretty much a perfect warp if you're just doing a standard A before B. Boom. So that's something you want to practice. It is a little tricky, but you do. I mean, obviously you want to hit that if you want the 100. So that is pretty much all the tips and tricks I have. Let's watch this run again, just to show you, because this is, again, the fastest run in Caverns Agent history. It was almost a 100. I get the boosts here. I'm cutting my corners tight. I look neutral in this area. You do want to throw the mine right before the hairpin turn. And then throw the mine here, obviously. A slightly jagged spiral. But you can afford some smooth turns. The 2 splotches. You want to look down. Box boost with the ZMG. Lure this guard out for a potential boost. Cut these corners tight. Kill that guard. Get a boost here. Maybe get a boost here. Hang to the left wall. And 8 before B warp. So this run, yeah, this is the fastest run ever. And unfortunately, it was not the 100. It was my 46th 101. But anyway, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. I guess I should warn you, this level will bore the fuck out of you after a while. You will get you just have to push through the boredom, push through the the just like the sameness of the level. It's very it's it's one of those levels, if you know what I'm saying. But if you have enough patience, if you have the right strats, you have enough practice, your turns are good, your movement is good, you're doing the right techniques, you're very consistent, very persistent, you will get the 100. And unfortunately, I was not persistent enough to get the 100. But maybe one of you can. Maybe one of you will be the legend to finally break this insane barrier on this level. Um, that's all I have to say. I hope this helped you out, and good luck on the attempts. Goodbye.